Gutierrez for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the ruling party in Puerto Rico staged an election, and they're very proud of the results. They say 97% of Puerto Ricans support statehood and that the United States should grant statehood right away because of it. Yeah, they got 97% of the vote. That's pretty impressive, the kind of numbers that would make Putin jealous and Saddam Hussein green with envy if he weren't dead already. And the reason why the stateholders got 97% of the vote was pretty much the same reason those two guys get 97% of the vote. Only one political party participated. All the other parties thought the election was so rigged and so predetermined for the outcome the sponsors wanted that they didn't even think it was worth taking and participating. And the vast majority of Puerto Ricans agreed. Only 23% of the people voted. 77% boycotted the election because they didn't think it was worth their time. And they were absolutely right. But I guess in the era of alternative facts and made-up statistics about how many people attend your inauguration, you can try to make a one-party vote of 23% of the people look like a mandate for statehood. But I'm here to warn my fellow Democrats not to believe the hype for 1 second. Those who are peddling the fantasy of statehood sometimes call themselves Democrats. But we should beware of an elephant in donkey clothing. Let's look at the leaders of the statehood party here in Washington. Our colleague, the resident commissioner who ran on the statehood ticket, is a Republican who caucused with the Republicans here in the House. She's a proud supporter of Donald Trump and pals around with Steve King and other members who, we might say, aren't too friendly to Latino and Latino causes, much less the Democratic Party line. The governor's Washington, D.C. office is headed by a Republican, Carlos Mercader, who is appointed to the position by Governor Rosselló after serving as executive director of the right-wing political organization called Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles, infamous for its constant bashing of, yes, President Obama. That is who is pushing statehood in D.C., which makes me wonder why any Democrat would be embracing them, especially the chairman of the DNC. Unless, of course, as the media reports, it's a payback for votes for DNC chairmanship. And as for Governor Ricardo Rosselló, leader of the statehood party, the quote-unquote Democrat, his conservative record speaks for itself, even though he's only been in office for less than a year. As a candidate, he sided with the bondholders and vulture capital funds and opposed any debt restructuring for Puerto Rico, saying that Puerto Rico should pay its debt in full to Wall Street speculators, in spite of massive cuts that would entail for police, fire, health, pensions, roads, and school. He hosted, the Democrat, hosted the GOP presidential candidate, Ben Carson. And the governor opposes LGBT rights, including same-sex marriage, and opposes the teaching of gender equality in the schools. Town Hall, the uber-conservative website, sees a kindred spirit in Governor Rosselló, the Democrat, praising him for his conservative approach to helping bondholders over school children. And the governor has withheld his criticism of President Trump, which few Democrats are able to resist, and for Latino Democrats is darn near impossible unless you're just playing the Democratic role to get ahead. When confronted with the obvious that Trump has denigrated Mexicans as rapists and murderers, promised to build a wall to keep Latinos out, and sneered at Puerto Rico's desire for what Donald Trump called a bailout, Rosselló responded saying of the president, "My view is I don't know that he's anti-Latino. Obviously, I've heard some derogatory remarks, but I don't know him personally, and it doesn't deter me. So instead of spending money to help children whose schools are closing, to fix roads that are falling apart, or to pay doctors enough to prevent them from leaving Puerto Rico and going to Florida, it seems the entire Puerto Rican government is now dedicated to pursuing the unlikely chance of statehood. It is certainly useful as a distraction from what the governor and his D.C. operatives are actually doing. Mr. Speaker, I've said this before. I hope to be buried one day on that beautiful island of Puerto Rico. But when I'm buried, I hope it happens in a free, sovereign nation that has thrown off the yoke of colonialism and dependence on an overseas master, just as this country, the United States of America, the country in which I was born at. And I look forward to celebrating the 4th of July. In the meantime, I think it is important to warn my fellow Democrats that they should get no more in bed with the statehooders than with any other group of right-wing conservatives with an agenda.
The gentleman yields. The chair recognizes